Good afternoon, Nick.
Hi.
Wonderful to have you here. It was very exciting, interesting to watch your film there before. It's quite a short film actually, 75 minutes?
Yeah, 75 minutes only.
75 minutes and all shot more or less at night
Yeah.
in Manila. Showing us a
85%.
side of Philippines that one doesn't usually get to see.
Yeah.
So could you talk a bit about this? So let's start with your journey, and you made another film before this.
Yeah.
So could you talk about what you've done and before doing Patrol
Okay.
and your upbringing in Manila?
Okay. So yeah, I started doing my first film after I graduated from film school in University of the Philippines. So my first film was I did my first film when I was 23, and after that I went to work in a television and for a mainstream film also. I also did a horror film, but it's like a 5-director, 5-short story type of
Like
horror
an
film.
anthology.
Yeah, like an anthology. And after like doing television for 5 or 6 years, I decided to go back to the independent scene, and with this film Patrol. So yeah, my first and second movie are under the Cinemalaya Independent Film Festival in the Philippines. Most festivals in the Philippines give grants and subsidies for the filmmakers, so that even if you're a young filmmaker or even if you don't have money, you can do your films. So that.
So you got a grant for this film?
Yeah, I had a grant for this film. A little, not really that much money, but a seed grant to keep the film rolling. And
Right. And what drew you to this theme, to this story? So what was the genesis of this film?
okay, well, just started as well, this is a stupid story actually. We were just driving and we saw a really pretty lady, a pretty police woman. And then we decided, my friend and I, well, what if we do a film like this about a policewoman? So at first, my friend who is the writer and the co-producer for this film wanted an action-packed film at first. But when I did the research for the film, I immersed with a policeman doing the rounds in Manila for 3 nights. I realized that job is boring, and actually nothing is really happening. So when I realized that, the film took a different shape. It went more to the artsy side, more quiet, more subdued side compared to the action-packed procedural kind of film. So yeah, that's the genesis of the film. Just that. We just saw an interesting policewoman on the street. And that's it.
It's an interesting film, like I was saying, because a lot of it, it just follows the character. Not too many, big plot points in that sense, and mostly at night. So, could you talk a bit about the challenge of shooting at night in Manila, and was that because of what the story is also about?
Yeah.
I think about the breakdown of relationships and of how the society is showing it, like the side, the underbelly, with media also like acting in a very voyeuristic manner. So how was that? How did that work out?
Yeah, well, the story, most of the story happens at night, but more importantly, I guess, is the message, well, not really the message, but the feeling of the story, because I wanted to portray decay, and I think showing at night, Manila at night, with no people, just the buildings, just the roads, and like nothing's really happening, you can see the decaying city. And also, in regards with the relationship of the people around her, the main character, we can also see decay. Like, we see this mother who has a decaying relationship with her son, and she sleeps around. And everyone around her, just like that, not really a solid foundation of relationship around her. So yeah, like the city, she's also decaying, and the thing about decay is it happens really slow, and like the character, she doesn't really face it up front. That's why everything starts to decay. She just she just decided not to face things up.
And I'm assuming it's a reaction to what you see around yourself
Yeah, yeah.
back home.
Yeah, of course. Because yeah, I'm sorry, touching that. Yeah. What I observe about the Filipino is that we have short memory span. I mean, if you're a politician and you did something wrong, in about 2 or 3 months' time, that thing will be forgotten. So I think that's the basis of a decaying society, of people forgetting about things, of not remembering. And like the character, like Paloma, the character in the movie, she has the biggest thing that happened in her life. Her son was taken away, and the next morning is just a normal day for her because she won't face it.
Because I found that quite confusing, because
Yeah.
I thought, did it really happen or was it a dream sequence? Because her son got caught, and after that there is no reaction to it, and
Yeah.
she just so that was purposeful.
Yeah, that was purposeful, and yeah, that was purposeful, and it is really, well, for me it's unnerving that you have your son in prison and you're not reacting the way you should react, and that's the main feeling I feel for the Filipinos and our political situation.
Right. And could you talk a bit about the independent film scene in Philippines?
Yeah.
Is it like strong? I'm sure that there's a good, very big mainstream in Philippines. So could you talk about your peers and other filmmakers who are making films, independent films there?
Yeah. So I started as an independent director. Then after I did my first film, the mainstream people took me in to work with them, and so I kind of have looked at the both side of the equation. So so with the mainstream films, of course, it's still the number one ticket selling movies in the Philippines. But somehow the independent scene is taking over in terms of number of films being made. And the good thing about this is, well, the technology. The cameras are cheaper, and even if you're a student, you can do a feature-length film. And the beauty about that is that everyone can make their own films. Like we said, my friend and I always said, if you don't like the movie, do a movie you want to watch. And it seems like that is happening in the Philippines right now. So you have different filmmakers with different voices and different views about things. And most especially, it's not centered in Manila. It's happening everywhere in the cities of Manila. So you have that in the southern part, the central part of Manila, and everyone has a strong identity about their regions, about their provinces. So it's a really expansive independent scene in Manila.
And you've been traveling with the film across with film festivals and before obviously coming to Bangalore. How has the reaction been to the film, and what are some of the responses that you've had to the film?
Yeah, well, the reaction. Well, I kind of expected the reaction to be. I mean, this is not the type of film that you will have a big reaction. I mean, I don't expect people to clap and cheer about my film because it's really different, and it's like
The ending is a bit abrupt, like
Yeah.
it just
like that.
It just ends like that, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I did this film, and coming, there's a different thing because I did this film coming from 5 or 6 years of doing mainstream and television work. So I just wanted to step into the independent scene with a movie that you cannot see a trace of me being a mainstream director. So I guess that's it. So yeah, so the reaction is, well, last time I mean, the reaction is fairly good for me because I really don't expect people to cheer for my film, but I just wanted them to understand that that this is a different kind of take on an issue, and like for when I showed this in Copenhagen, I had a lot of questions after after the screening, and I think that's a different kind of audience because the audience from Copenhagen are more intellectualizing the film, as compared to actually just watching the film
as a film.
as a film. Yeah. So I guess it's a different reaction.
And have you been able to watch films yourself here at Bangalore?
I'm sorry?
Have you been able to watch films here at Bangalore?
Yeah, I have watched films here, but I haven't watched an Indian film yet. Yeah. So I try to watch the films in my competition first, and then after that I will watch the Indian films. So far I have watched Afghani film and a Pakistani film, and later an Iranian film.
Wish you luck in the competition. Look forward to seeing you again sometime very soon back in India with maybe another film of yours.
Yeah, I hope so.
It was lovely chatting with you. Thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.